Hello, YouTubers. Joe here of Joe and Paul on Sunday, July 21st at 4:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Time. Now, today, of course, was Sunday, so I went to church, but first we have things to describe. I got up early enough that I was actually able to watch the live feed. Yes, I finally did figure out how to find a live feed from the British Open on holes 7, 8, and 9. So I was able to watch that till about 9:30 when I had to scamper off to church on my device here. And Paul got up and he sort of watched it with me, so that was kind of pleasant. I think I'll be able to watch this whole thing by delay on something called live stream, maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I know who won. I heard about that. I saw about that in the Wall Street Journal when they did one of these updates. Breaking news. So at least I was getting a little bit of my British Open fix today, and I got pretty much about the same amount yesterday morning, being able to sort of thrash around and find it. I'm obviously not clever at how to do this, but persistence. As my son said, I'm a very persistent so-and-so. So occasionally I'll luck out. So then off to church, but the reason I left early, it's 9:30 and it's only a 15-mile drive, and it's a 10:30 service, but I wanted to stop and get B vitamins at Wal-Mart. It's hard to find these B100 vitamins that I like, and sometimes you go there and you look and they're out, or they only have like one bottle, so 60 tablet bottle. So I bought 5 60 tablet bottles, which will see us through the bulk of a year, and actually bulk of half a year because Paul takes them too. So that's only 150 days, and so that's not even a half year, really. It's 5 months. So that's okay. I'm glad to find them. I was out for a couple days. I don't think it made any difference, obviously, but I think it helps. I don't know that, harms you not to take them, obviously. Well, according to the party line. And since I'm a physician, I have to parrot the party line, don't I? So off to church. Now, I'll tell you, they had just tremendous music today. Tremendous music today. I'm going to read you the music. Well, it's Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. That's that Welsh hymn that talks about how you can't see God because the light inaccessible has hid him from our eyes. And pardon me, it's just magnificent. It was one of my very favorite. I want it played at my funeral. And then the sequence hymn was Seek Ye First the Kingdom of God, which has the series of Alleluias that, really high Alleluias. And I'm going to be a bit arrogant here now. Well, is that a change? Is that different? Unfortunately not, but it's a lot less than it was, I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, I got a high tenor voice when I sing, and almost a countertenor voice. And I'll tell you, ever since I fell, let's see, there it is. See that divot? The divot. On the great bludgeoning down of August 16th of 2011, and broke the side of my face, among other things. My singing voice is massively improved because I think it's I think it's improved the resonating qualities of my sinuses. And my reading voice, at the lectern has improved. So, I wouldn't recommend this as a voice improvement tactic for people who are, taking speech instruction, but nonetheless, that was one of my very favorite ones, and and unfortunately Daniel he just played it once. He didn't play it through like 4 or 5 times, which I would have loved, but he just only played it once, the 2 verses. And then we did a thing called Humbly I Adore Thee, which was actually based on a 17th century chorale by a fellow I hadn't heard of, and I can't recall his name offhand right now. But it was in E minor, and it wasn't quite Plainsong. I mean, it was clearly a chorale, a polyphonic chorale, but it was almost in a Plainsong style. Well, moving on, then, the post-communion hymn was Jesus All My Gladness, which was indeed in mode 5 of Plainsong, which was very interesting. It wasn't strictly speaking Plainsong, because it wasn't one note per syllable, which is the strict definition of Plainsong. You had sometimes you had 2 notes on one syllable, and that's not quite true Plainsong. But this was a fairly challenging piece. On the 4th time through, though, I finally got the last line down, but it wasn't like I was being horrible on the previous 3 times through. But still, it's always good to know one's limitations and learn, isn't it? Okay, well, now, the rector did this amazing sermon. I mean, and a lot longer than he usually does, and he didn't have any filler either. It wasn't like, he had to tell he had to tell a joke, or, had to talk about a website he had looked at, or, a video game he'd played. He got right to the chase of the Mary and Martha thing, which, frankly, I think has been overworked in a lot of cases. And I thought, well, but by golly, he took a whole new take on it, and it had to do with the proper approach to how you participate in the new creation, and having the right attitude to things. And he kind of bad-mouthed Martha. Now Martha's always got a lot of positive press because she was in the kitchen, working. But he said, Martha should have been in there listening to you. And usually, well, a lot of it has to do with politically correctness. Martha's being oppressed. She's in the kitchen. Give me a break. But he went on, and I'll tell you, and it was very good. It was very, very good. And we had this new sound system installed some months back now, after this one fellow died, and he left a legacy. Well, his widow gave a lot of his legacy, or life insurance, well, not a lot, but a portion of his life insurance, to fund this new sound system we've got. And after some rocky starts, of course, with anything, it is a rocky start. It works very, very well, and you can blast people out of their pews with this thing. And the ushers, control the volume level in the back of the church, and they had this thing cranked up high, and Charles is just booming out there, and about 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes into the sermon, I thought I heard somebody snoring. Now, I've gone to this church since 1995, and I tell you, I've never actually heard anybody, snore in church. Now, I can't say whether anybody's falling asleep or not in church, because I sit up sort of in the fourth row, and so it's not like I'm turning around, as Holden Caulfield said in Catcher in the Rye, trying to see what every GD person in the world is doing, but I'm hearing you snoring. Well, and it gets louder and louder, and I can hear this over this very loud speaker system. And it's very progressive. By the end of the sermon, it was really, really, really obvious for anybody that was a sentient being. And I dearly yearned to look around. Well, it was sort of coming over from, if I'm 12 o'clock at you, it was somewhere around 3:30 or 4. Now, this woman in the pew behind me, we have these sort of bundling board pews. You've got an aisle, central aisle, and then you've got pews on either side, but they're separated by what I call a bundling board. And so to get to the other side of the bundling board, and sit in that side, you have to go up the side aisle. You've got two side aisles in the central aisle. And the side aisles are by the windows. It's a Hollandkirke architectural format. Hollandkirke is the term. Hall church. Excuse me. I'm almost certain this woman, who was our previous organist and choir director, wasn't sleeping. She's very lively. She and I'd talk before the service, so forth. But there was a guy who usually sits way in the back. He's a very, very, very heavy set guy, and he brings his mother, who is also not quite as heavy set a woman, but she's got the bowling ball build, if you get what I mean. And she was there. I don't think she was sitting. And she may have been sitting in front of him. She usually sits in the pew in front of him. I think largely to try to spare the, not to do a real stress test on these 1840s, quarter saw and walnut pews. So I thought, well, when we stand up and do the Nicene Creed, I'll be able to look around, and if the guy hadn't wakened at the end of the sermon, I might be able to catch who's been doing this, just out of curiosity, because I'm an inveterate eavesdropper, and love to see what's going on around me, and I sort of love church social dynamics. But no, when the Nicene Creed came, everybody was up doing the Nicene Creed, as near as I could tell. Certainly in the area from which the sound was coming. But in almost a little over 17 and a half, 18 years of going there, this is the first time I've heard anybody snore. I mean, actually snore. We're talking like movie set snoring here, guys. So I talked to this woman who sits next to me. She's in her 90s, and she's not deaf. I mean, she's hard of hearing, but she's not deaf. I mean, she's not profoundly deaf. She didn't wear a hearing aid, but she's hard of hearing. I said, "Did you hear this?" She says, "No, she didn't hear this." She said, "I could hear the sermon." Well, you'd have to be almost on another planet not to hear the sermon as loud as it was. But she didn't hear the snoring, but I decided not to pursue that at coffee hour. I thought, this would not be promoting an irenic truth and peace and love vision of the world. So I held my tongue. Well, until now. So there it is. So on the way home, I did given the weird alcohol laws in Ohio, I did a Sunday beer and wine run. I guess that depends on what little dispensation you've gotten from the voters. I did this at Giant Eagle, and I got some fine boxed wine at Giant Eagle, and 3 12-packs of this Budweiser Black Crown stuff, which is actually pretty good beer. Yeah, I mean, for the price. I mean, it's $12.49 a 12-pack. I'm not. There are some very good pale ales and ales out there. But it's like $10 a 6-pack. You're dreaming, boys. You're just dreaming. I'm not going to pay $10 a 6-pack. Even though it comes with sexual favors, I'm not going to pay $10 a 6-pack. Plus, you got sales tax on top of that, and here it's 6.75%. That ain't gonna happen. So, but that's okay. It passes the time. So home, and Paul was okay, and the house was okay, and every place was okay, and that's always a worry. And got home safely, and in very good time too. Hit all the lights on US 23. This basically never happens. I mean, I won't get home from church again this fast for another 10 or 12 years. I just won't. So there it is, and I came home to find, well, I won't tell you what I found Paul doing. No, it's nothing bad. He was interneting. I'd left my computer on when I left, and with the British Open on, I said, "You want me to leave this on?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, when it's done, just fold the lid down and unplug the power cord," which he did. But he was emailing, and he was looking at some internet sites. Let's put it that way. Well, you do, don't you? It's the internet. So, I think in essence, I've covered everything. British Open, church. Well, no, I can't talk about that because they might see this. And that also would not be ironic. So, I guess I'm going to just say bye-bye now, YouTubers.